Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 38 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on recognizing God's hand in my life. So, yay for day 38. Um, I'm just glad today is over. I kind of had a rough emotional day today. And at one point, I think that God was just letting me know why I was having a rough patch today. I don't always know why I wake up some days and I just have no energy and I have really hard time getting motivated and getting started and even convincing myself to do anything. And it's one of those things like, why don't I want to do anything? I don't understand. And today I was having one of those days and I was so tired and I went back to sleep and then I slept later than I normally do. And I just didn't want to deal with today at all. And then, I had a thought that popped into my head and I knew exactly why I didn't want to deal with today, because I knew what today was. Today was my biological mother's birthday, and she passed away over 6 years ago. And I did not have the best relationship with her. I didn't have the worst relationship either. I know at one point in my life I thought that she was my best friend, and then as an adult I look back and realized it was a very codependent relationship and it just wasn't healthy, and it just really didn't work for me, especially as an adult. And I had a lot of, issues I don't really want to get into in my video. Just don't want to. But it was interesting because my older sister was posting stuff on Facebook today, and my youngest of my younger brothers was made a Marco Polo video and stuff in honor of or memory of our biological mother. And it was just a reminder to me that everyone has a different relationship with everyone. Like, I did not have the same relationship with my biological mother as my siblings had with her. And I think most of us had surrogate families or have developed surrogate families, which is why I have Mom and Dad Shoemaker in my life. I know my youngest sister had one family, my youngest brother had another family in our neighborhood growing up. I'm not entirely sure about my older sister. She had a lot of friends, and she still has a lot of friends, but I don't know that she had a surrogate family. My younger brother, not sure that he did. The one just under me, not the youngest of that's what I get. They're both younger. It's kind of hard to say which one is which. Anyway, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Can't go back to the past. I can't change the past. I can't change the relationship that I had with my biological mother. And I don't know if it would be any different if she were still alive today. Sometimes I like to think that it would be, and then I'm like, but I don't know that it would, because there were some times where we had conversations where I felt like she actually listened to me and cared about what's going on in my life. And the rest of the time, anything personal that I would tell her always came back to bite me. Always, because she would tell other people, it would come back, it would be something embarrassing, or she would tease me or taunt me about it. And I'm like, really? I told you something personal and you're going to make fun of me? Like, this is not helping me. And of course, she probably thought it was funny and, was trying to lighten the mood or something. I don't know. That's her personality, but didn't work very well for me. I always take everything too literally. Like, I'm not really good when it comes to like jokes, like, and sarcasm. Like, I've gotten better the older I've gotten, but when I was growing up, I didn't get any of that stuff. I was the dumb blonde and all the jokes went over my head. That was like, literally, that's how my life was growing up. And sometimes I still feel like that. Like, I don't get it. And I'm like, you can explain it and I understand what you're saying, but I just don't understand why it's funny. Like, I just don't get it. So, that's been me. And so a lot of times when she would joke about things that were personal to me or that were embarrassing to me, and I was like, or she would tell other people, and I was like, why would you do that? So I just did not have the best relationship with her, and it's kind of hard to see my sister posting stuff and talking about how wonderful it was and how supportive my biological mother was to her. And I'm like, really? Because every time I wanted to do something, she told me all the reasons I would not like it, I would not enjoy it, or I wouldn't be able to, can't afford it, not gonna have fun with it, don't like it, you don't like the colds, you're not gonna like this, you're not gonna like that. Like, she would list all that stuff, or that I just wouldn't be able to do it. Like, I remember watching a commercial about being a truck driver when you turn 21, like driving big rigs or semi trucks, and I just mentioned that it would be fun. And she's like, oh, well, your feet are too small, you wouldn't be able to reach the pedals. I'm like, what does the size of my feet have to do with reaching pedals? Like, I don't remember if I even knew how to drive at that point, but that's stuck in my brain. I was a truck driver for a year and a half, so I did actually prove her wrong, just because I could. And mostly because I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, and prove to her that I could do it. I'm like, that's kind of more my personality. But I think she set me up that way. Like, I'm going to tell you all the reasons you're going to fail, so you have to push past all of those reasons in order to succeed. So if you really want it, you're going to do it in spite of what I tell you. And I really don't like that teaching method, that because me, I was always the peacemaker. I was always the submissive, quiet, shy person. I am not the huge go-getter, run out there and do whatever person. So for me to overcome hurdles, I'm like, I need support. I need people to say, hey, you can do this. I need a cheerleading team behind me. I don't need the devil's advocate telling me all the reasons I can't succeed, which is what I feel like I got. And then my sister's posting the complete opposite, and I was like, did we grow up in the same house? Did we have the same mother? I don't even understand how she could be so different. But every person's relationship is different personalities, different things, and I don't know, I guess I was the good kid, or I was the kid my mother just didn't understand or didn't have time for because she was so concerned about all the other ones. And of course, she was a single parent, and she had 5 kids, and she had 5 kids in 6 years. So seriously, and there were no twins in there, no duplicate children. So she had her hands full, and she was working full time, and she had to deal with 5 kids. So she picked the ones that she felt needed her time and attention the most, and then the rest of us just didn't get it. And I happened to be one of the ones that didn't get as much attention or time or understanding. I didn't get listened to as much. I got called the metal motor mouth. When I had braces, it was metal motor mouth. Otherwise, I was just a motor mouth because I just talked all the time. And I'm like, talking because I'm waiting for someone to listen to me, because I feel like I have a lot of things to say, because I also feel like I'm invisible. And I'm not invisible. I am definitely not invisible. But today, all of those emotions were stirred up. It's a lot of emotions to have stirred up in one day. A lot of old memories and not pleasant memories. And you would think, when someone passes away, I would like to think that it's like, okay, you're remembering them on their birthday or the day that they passed away. And it would be sad because they're not in your life anymore, but you've got all these wonderful things that you can remember about them and all the happy times that you had with them. And I'm just like, I'm trying. And those aren't the memories that are coming up to me right now. And that was just really sad to me. It was just really sad to me that I didn't have that kind of relationship with my biological mother that I wanted to have, or that I imagined that I had. And that she's not here to make it any different. And I don't know if it would be any different or any better at this point in my life. And so it's one of those, I don't know, and I can't go back and I can't change the past, but it kind of overshadowed my entire day. And but I am so grateful that God reminded me that he was still here and in my life, and reminded me of a time when I was 12, and I was having a really hard time, and I was all by myself. And honestly, it was funny because I was upset and I was crying, and I didn't want my parents. I wanted my grandparents, because I remember living with them and being loved and happy, and wishing that I was with them instead of at my house, and just remembering a set of arms just wrapping themselves around me and comforting me, and there was no one else in the room. So I know that God was there in my life, and reminds me of that moment when I'm struggling and having a hard time, and just lets me know that, hey, he is still there for me, and it is okay. And today, it took me all day, but I also remembered something my sponsor friend used to tell me, and that was that you could start your day at any time. And so like 9 o'clock at night, I finally decided to get up and read my meditationals and take a shower and read my scriptures and work on some grief stuff. Answered some questions from that grief book. I thought I had it right here. I was like, I'll just show you, but I don't have it. I do have it. It's Opening Our Hearts and Transforming Our Losses. It's an Al-Anon book. Anyway, I just went through and answered some of the questions about grief and like, what am I grieving today? And I'm like, everything. I'm overwhelmed with all of the grief in my life, but I am grateful that I was willing to recognize today what I was grieving, and grateful that God was willing to show that to me, and grateful that I was willing to write about it and let myself cry, and also so very grateful that I was willing to be gentle with myself and let myself off the hook for not doing anything else today, because I'm having an emotional day. I'm having a grief-filled day. I'm having a lot of memory, not the best memories day. And I did try to find some happy memories with my biological mother. And I do know that she did teach me the gospel. And she did always tell me that the church is perfect, but the people in it aren't. And you go to church because it's the right thing to do, and not because of the people in it. And so I am grateful for that. And I am grateful that I learned that from her. I also think that I got my creativity and my writing skills from her. So I did get some wonderful things from my biological mother. It wasn't all bad. And when I had friends and sleepovers and stuff, she used to take me and my friends to go toilet papering the neighbor's house. And I thought that was a normal thing to do until I did it on my own when I was 18 and told her about it afterwards. Like, you do realize you're an adult now, and that's, that's a misdemeanor or a felony charge if you get caught doing that. So, like, you better stop doing that now. And I'm like, wait, what? I just thought, we always just toilet papered each other's houses growing up. And I was like, that's okay. That's illegal. And yes, that's vandalism. You're vandalizing someone else's property. But it never even occurred to me that that was a bad thing until she told me that when I was 18. And I was like, you taught me how to do it, and now you're telling me it's illegal. Thank you. That was my biological mother. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't mean to make her sound like a horrible person. She was loving and wonderful and supportive to other people, just not to me. And I don't know where that clash was or why that happened the way that it did, but it did. At least in my mind and in my perspective. And I'm sure she did the best that she could. And I'm sure I just probably misinterpreted a lot of it, or didn't see it as her helping me. I saw it as her thinking that I wasn't good enough to do things. So I noticed that a lot of my hurt feelings and things like that also come from a distorted perspective or a lack of understanding on my part, because I didn't understand why I wasn't getting all the attention as a teenager or as a child that I felt like I needed and wanted, and why I was getting teased and taunted. And it was because, I was the skinny one, I was the pretty one, I was all of that. And my biological mother was overweight, my older sister was overweight, very heavy set people. So I think they're just very jealous of me. And I was like, okay, but it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I promise. I didn't do this on purpose. But I didn't understand that as a child. I didn't see it that way. I couldn't see the other side of anything. And I've gained a lot of understanding the older I get and as an adult. But I'm also recognizing today, I think God is helping me recognize today, that it doesn't change the fact that I had hurt feelings, that I got hurt, that I got left out, that I got neglected or ignored, or that I got teased, and that I took it personally. And it's okay to validate those feelings that I had. It's okay to recognize that I felt like I was mistreated. And maybe in some cases I was mistreated. Maybe not intentionally, but definitely mistreated, ignored, things like that in my life. And I don't have to ignore those things, but I don't have to let those things, I can validate those things. I don't have to ignore those things, but I don't have to let them control my future outcomes. I don't have to let them put a dark shadow over my future, which I think is what I do. I think I look at my past and think, well, this is what I learned, the lessons from the past, and therefore my future is just as doomed as my past. And I'm like, that's not how this works. I don't have to keep responding the same way that I did when I was a child. I don't have to keep putting myself in those situations. And I can't go back and fix the past. I can't have the type of relationship with my biological mother that I would have liked to have had, or that my sisters had with her. But I can move forward. I can have other relationships with Mom Shoemaker, with Dad Shoemaker. I have my own adopted parents that are much better suited for me, that I feel like love me unconditionally and that don't expect me to be someone that I'm not. And I always felt like my biological mother expected me to do things or be something that I wasn't. And I just never felt like I lived up to or like I fit in, because I didn't like the same things as everyone else in my family. I was interested in different things. So she always talked me out of the different things because it wasn't something she was interested in, or it wasn't something she wanted me to do, or maybe she was worried what was going to happen to me. And so instead of encouraging me, she always discouraged me from doing those things. And as an adult, I think I discouraged myself. And I use the same lame excuses. I'm like, I don't even know if I'm going to like something or not, or if I can afford something or not, or if I will enjoy something or not, because I don't let myself try. So that is a hurdle that I have to overcome. But I can overcome that hurdle. And I know that God is there to help me overcome that hurdle. And one of the ways I think for me to do that is for me to see it, to see the hurdle, to understand what is in my way, to understand why I feel the way that I do, or understand those walls, those blocks, those things that I have put up. Because when I understand them, it makes it easier to take them down, or to put them aside, or to not give them as much power or credit as I have given them in the past. And so those invisible walls, those things like when I get up and I just have no motivation for the day. And now at least today I know why I had no motivation today. And at least today I was able to do a lot of journaling about it. I was able to do some grief work around it. And I know that those are some of those walls and things that I have built up and put up so that I don't repeat those things in the past, but or that I put them up to prevent myself because I just am afraid that I just won't like something. And so I don't try it, because that's what I was always taught growing up. It's like, oh, you're not going to like it. So I never tried it. I'm like, well, what if I do like it? Maybe I should try it. And it's really hard to convince myself to try and to do new things. So I'm grateful to see some of the reasons, because sometimes understanding myself is, I don't understand myself most of the time. I don't even understand all of the reasons behind why I do what I do. But sometimes understanding, if nothing else, it helps me to have compassion towards myself. It helps me to not beat myself up so much, or feel like I'm failing, or that I screwed up, or that I'm just, shoulda, woulda, coulda done better today than I did. And today I don't feel like that, which I'm grateful for. Today I can just be like, okay, today was a crap day. It was a whole bunch of emotional stuff that came up that I wasn't expecting to have to deal with today. And at least at some point today, I was willing to face some of those emotions. Maybe not all of them, and definitely not all day long. I still responded a lot in the way that I used to, where I just kind of isolate, where I just shut down, where I just have no energy, because grief and emotions are heavy and exhausting, and they're hard to move around when you have to carry all that stuff. So it kind of zaps all motivation and things for me, and it just makes my day that much harder. And so just at some point to recognize what it was that I was fighting was so helpful to me. And at some point to be willing to face what I was fighting emotionally was also so helpful to me. And I am so grateful that God allowed me the time to do that and the opportunity to process that, and that I was willing to face some of it today. And granted, not all of it. It doesn't all go away in one day. It doesn't. But it does help to talk about it. It does help to write about it. It did help, I think, to cry about it, because I did that. I took a shower, I cried, and then I'm like, okay, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I finally feel awake and ready to do something with my day. I still didn't do anything with my day, but I finally felt like I could do something at 10 o'clock at night, which is kind of sad. And then I'm like, oh, good, and now it's time to get ready for bed, and I'm finally ready to, do something, face my day. So hopefully tomorrow will be a better day. But if nothing else, I know that God has been with me today and helping me to deal with the weight of the emotions that I seem to carry around and have not yet learned how to let go of. But hopefully, in working through this book and continuing to make these videos, I will learn how to deal with these emotions, and it just makes me all that more grateful for all the days that I'm just so happy and I don't get weighed down by all of this old stuff that I can't change. So that was my crazy, insane day today. So thank you for letting me vent and for listening to me. And if you like these videos, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like them too. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude and maybe find ways to recognize God's hand in your life too.